examples where you have laws that are different state to state. In the realm of marriage, I mean, as it is now, you know, your common law marriage law is different state to state, and that gets a touchy issue when you talk about that. The age that you can get married at is different state to state. I mean, so when you're talking about marriage, you know, specifically, it's not uncommon for there to be differences between them. And I don't think people really think about them. I mean, when you move to a state, the first thing you don't think about is, well, what's the marriage law here regarding, you know, somebody's common law marriage, or whether or not they can marry their first cousin or not. That's probably not the first thing on your mind. So I guess I don't.
You haven't seen his cousin.
I haven't seen his cousin.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if I live in Wyoming, and you know, I think the sort of slippery slope argument is the main reason why folks in Wyoming say care a lot about what's going on in Massachusetts with marriage laws, and so yeah, I don't know. I guess folks on that side have a hard time believing that this isn't going to be an issue that quickly is uniform in all 50 states.
Well, I mean, they're going to have a choice. You know, whether it's in the state legislature or on the ballot, Wyoming's going to get a choice. And they're going to have to live with that choice because that's how democracy works.
Historically, there's been a lot of diversity in marriage law. A very good example is actually my home state of Maryland, which had fairly easy marriage laws. They didn't make you take a blood test, they didn't have a waiting period, and so people would often travel to Maryland to get married. And there's a little town called Elkton, Maryland, which was famous for its wedding chapels. And Pat Robertson actually got married there because he wanted to get married in a hurry without any fuss, and so he went to Elkton. You know, New York was very strict. It was a very difficult state to get married in. My straight brother, when he wanted to get married in Ohio, had to take a blood test, even today, for syphilis. Not for HIV, which might have more of a public health justification, for syphilis, which is easily curable today. But it's still on the books. They still make everyone who gets married in Ohio take a blood test for syphilis. So there's plenty of diversity.
Real quickly, I'm not sure that people have really answered the question. If you remove all federal definitions of marriage, then what next? It seems that it would not provoke a greater and stronger union to say there's 50 different laws defining marriage. I think at a certain point, if marriage is a pre-political reality, and if it's something that, while not in the Constitution, was so fundamental to the fabric of the society of the founders that it was beneath their radar, that they would have, if they posed the question, should we have 50 different marriage laws, I think they would have said this is part of the original founding pre-political realities that are meant to be protected simply in statute, which then provides the thing. Not to get off topic, but the really interesting, fascinating question to me, when I hear libertarians say they want to see, you know, the federal government get out of the marriage business, is what if, to change political dynamic, the federal marriage amendment were to pass Congress and were to go to the states? You know, 2/3 of states would have to ratify that. Now that seems to be a really excellent way of honoring the 10th Amendment. And so I'm wondering what libertarians have to say about, well, doesn't a federal marriage amendment pass constitutional muster and also respect states' rights? That's the way we've got another amendment.
There's never an issue of a constitutional amendment passing constitutional muster. By definition, it does. I would still oppose that amendment as a bad policy, and I would not want to see it implemented.
Why?
Because I believe that same-sex marriage is something that our society is learning how to deal with, and the way that we do that is at the state level. If it turns out that Massachusetts does have very bad social problems, then perhaps Mississippi and Alabama will be around to pick up the pieces.
I have a question for Jason McNamara.